This event would not be possible without the support of the following institutions: UPLB Techno Transfer and Business Development Office, the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, or SEARCA, and the Philippine Council for Agriculture, Aquatic and Natural Resources Research and Development, or PICARD. To kickstart our program and share with us some of his inspiring words, let us all give a warm welcome to the Chancellor of UPLB, Dr. Jose V. Camacho Jr.
To the Director of the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, Dr. Glenn Gregorio, Vice Chancellor for Research and Extension, Dr. Merdilyn Lee, the Director of the UPLB Technology Transfer and Business Development Office, Dr. Romel Carlos, the former Director of TTBDO, Prof. Glenn Baticados, to our resource persons, Dr. Richard Cahun and Mr. Joel Lacerna, and to everyone joining us today, good morning. One of the UP's most important institutional outcomes as the country's national university is to actively conduct basic and applied research, as well as development activities that are geared towards the generation of new knowledge and products. As the country's leading and educational research institution in agriculture, the University of the Philippines, Los Baños has been developing since the early 80s a wide variety of biofertilizers and pesticides designed to cater to the needs of different stakeholders. These early biofertilizers and biopesticides include NitroPlus, BioN, MicroGrow, as well as NPV and Petmictrol, to name a few. Now, a lot, and I mean a lot, has already happened and changed since the development of these early biofertilizers and biopesticides in the 80s. Apart from UPLB developing even more and better biofertilizers and biopesticides, wider acceptance for biofertilizers and biopesticides among farmers and stakeholders worldwide has also increased due to growing consumer preference for organic food products. This growing consumer preference, together with the increasing concern over the effects of synthetic fertilizers on our food and environment, has made biofertilizer market a very lucrative business endeavor in the coming years. Which is why for today's Technology Transfer Day, we are excited to present and to focus on current market needs and opportunities for biofertilizers and biopesticides, and how these products could very well be the new staples of contemporary agriculture. As today's event presents an excellent opportunity to know more about biofertilizers and biopesticides and their very promising market potential, I encourage everyone to listen and to actively participate in today's event. And through this activity, I hope that more stakeholders will be encouraged to invest in both agricultural technology commercialization and agriculture R&D. I wish everyone an insightful and inspiring morning. Uh, Thank you. Stay safe and mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you for that inspiring and educational message, Chancellor. Now, to give us his insightful words, let us all welcome Dr. Glenn B. Gregorio, the Director of SEARCA and our partner for this webinar series.
I would like to greet my good friend and, of course, a business minded UPLB Chancellor, Dr. Don Camacho, and also the new director, also a friend of UPLB Technology Transfer and Business Development Office, Dr. Romel Carlos. I also want to greet the former director, Professor Glenn Baticados. To all the participants, I would like to equally welcome you all to the Technology Transfer Day 2021. Any discussion about strengthening the role of agricultural sector for economic growth, poverty reduction, food security requires a well-functioning orientation and understanding of the information age. Technologies nowadays are crucial for growth and businesses in the new normal. Also here at SEARCA, we give premium to agribusiness models for increased productivity and income as part of our 7 priority areas. On the other hand, there has been several innovations related to enterprise development aimed at strengthening value-adding activities to achieve income targets. What is clear is this: as agriculture gears towards agriculture 4.0, a well-functioning and inclusive market systems coupled with the new advances in financial technologies are critical to support agricultural and rural development. SEARCA very much recognizes UPLB TTBDO's participation to the greater common good for the protection of information and digital communication in this post-truth society. With this Netflix themed workshop, SEARCA is one with your office in cultivating a repository of crazy ideas and knowledge products geared towards properly informing the public about biofertilizers and biopesticides that I find it relevant since I myself is also a farmer, an agriculturist, a believer of sustainable intensification and conservation, and the importance of food and agriculture since food security is an issue heightened not only in the Philippines but globally. In the light of these developments, SEARCA's under our 11th five-year plan called Attain or Accelerating Transformation through Agricultural Innovation, we have identified agri-technologies as a crucial ingredient to strategically move towards initiative for the benefit of farmers. I am positive that with this two-day workshop on heightening the importance of IP rights will allow us to expand our reach further and distillation of knowledge with the intention to contribute to elevating the quality of lives of our own stakeholders and communities whom we serve. Just like the Netflix, let us not just watch movies or documentaries, but make us feel good or comfortable. Let us act and take action and share what we learned and experienced towards a better, bigger, and smarter digital space for our community. Again, thank you, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gregorio, for those inspiring words of welcome. So, good morning again to everyone. So, our first speaker for the day is the president of Bioproperty Strategy Group Incorporated, which is an international intellectual property consulting firm. He is currently an adjunct professor at the Department of Global Development, College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Cornell University. He also served as the Director of Technology Transfer in Cornell University for 20 years. Backed up with over 3 decades of experience in research and development, invention and intellectual property management, partnerships, commercialization, entrepreneurship, licensing, business development, negotiation, and mediation, he will be sharing his insights and expertise on commercializing agribiotechnologies. So, without further ado, please put your hands together for our first speaker, Dr. Richard Cahoon.
Well, thank you for that warm welcome. And it's a pleasure to be here or to be there. It's a pleasure to be in both places, to be with you this morning there and this evening here. I have been visiting Philippines now for about 10 years and have a lot of friends and colleagues there and continue to work with various universities in Philippines, including UPLB. And so I have a great affection for the Philippines, Filipinos. Have a lot of friends and colleagues, and I'm just delighted to see you putting on this conference and to be a part of it. I am asked to give a presentation on the commercialization of agrobiotechnologies. And I started to do that, and I began to realize that I've been commercializing new technologies for 4 decades now. And while I can speak about agricultural technologies and biotechnologies in particular, depending upon how we want to define those, I thought it would be useful for you to hear from me about the elements of commercialization of new technologies that cut across disciplines. If you have questions about how they might apply particularly to agriculture, I'm certainly be pleased to answer that. But I think it would be useful for you to hear my distillation of 40 years and hundreds of projects on what I think are the elements of success for commercialization. So let's start by sharing my screen. Okay, I trust everybody can see that. I'm happy to be a part of this Technology Transfer Day at UPLB, and wanted to say thank you to the sponsors and for inviting me. I thought you might like to know just a little bit about me. These are my educational credentials. I'm an inventor. I love inventions and inventors, and I am one and hold a patent. I think inventors are some of the great resource of humanity, and we need to love them, and I always appreciate them, almost whatever they invent. I am an entrepreneur. I started the founder of a couple of companies and was a key participant in several others, and then at Cornell helped launch dozens of other companies and have been involved in startups and in small company launches since that time. And I'm currently working on a couple as I speak. As you heard, I was the director of Cornell's Tech Transfer Office for 20 years. And in that role, managed a staff of 35. We had about one new invention every business day. Our job was to evaluate them, separate out the ones that have viability from those that don't, and then commercialize them for the benefit of the public, of humanity, and of course benefiting the inventors and the institution. You can see there I manage the intellectual property and licensing of well over 1,500 technologies in all kinds of different fields. I have specialized in agricultural technologies, plant varieties, and all kinds of different agricultural technologies, but I've done other technologies as well, in medical space, in energy. Gosh, and now I'm working on one that involves skincare and cosmetics. I'm currently an intellectual property consultant and founder of my own consulting firm. I am a senior advisor to the World Intellectual Property Organization. Through that project, which we call the Enabling Innovation Environment, some of you may have heard about it. That's one of the ways that I stay connected to UPLB, as well as other universities and research institutions in the Philippines. And I am an adjunct professor in the new Department of Global Development at Cornell. And as I said, I have been involved in leading, facilitating, directing, or supporting in one way or another the commercialization of hundreds of technologies. So what I wanted to talk about this morning was what I have distilled down to what I believe are the 10 essential elements for successful commercialization of university technology. The first, and maybe this is a no-brainer, but it's surprising that some people don't realize that you have to have viable technology. We'll talk a little bit about what that means. That technology has to have inventiveness and market relevance. I'm an intellectual property specialist. I specialize in patents. So inventiveness is at the core of everything I do, generally speaking. I'll talk a little bit about the property control position. It's essentially intellectual property, but it includes some other aspects of technology property that I'll describe. I'll mention the value proposition. You need a champion, partnering, making connections, commercialization allies, and I'll define what those are, investment, and then finally, some of those hard to quantify qualities that turn out to be hugely significant. Okay, so let's start with viable technology. This is where it begins, right? This is where we want to find out what we have. And some people think that you need to have what we call a blockbuster, something that's going to absolutely revolutionize the world. Well, those don't come around very often, and thank goodness we don't need to have a blockbuster in order to commercialize new technology. In fact, most of the technologies I've worked on have not been huge paradigm shifting kinds of technologies. They've been, they're viable, but they're not huge paradigm shifters. Having incremental improvements are typically just fine. Now, I emphasize improvements. There almost always is a need to have some kind of an improvement over what's existing. We'll talk about that in a minute with inventiveness. But one of the things I learned early on at Cornell, I had some breakthrough technologies. They are really exciting and also extremely difficult. Some people call them disruptive technologies. These are technologies that can revolutionize an industry, a whole market space. And it's exhilarating, but it also comes with great challenges. I had technologies at Cornell where the world really wasn't ready for the technology. It was so revolutionary that I could not find a way to have the technology take root. Now, I've learned since that there are pathways to commercialize paradigm shifts and breakthrough blockbuster technologies. But my wish for you is to find a nice, safe, incremental improvement. Now, if you happen to have a blockbuster, God bless you, that's great, go for it. But for the most part, most of us can do just fine with these improvements, sometimes quite small. I think that when you're looking at technology, what do I mean by viable technology? Well, the first thing I mean is common sense is your best first filter. And that is, you don't have to, now sometimes the technologies are so high tech that it's difficult to understand and to bring the common sense that you have to the problem. But typically, if you just relax and make sure you understand it, then you just ask some basic questions. Why is this? What problem does it solve? Who cares about that problem? How much do they care about that problem? Just good old common sense questions. Do not hesitate to ask those questions. Whether you're maybe the first entrepreneur, you're the inventor, you're the tech transfer office, or you're somebody who's interested in getting involved in the commercialization process. In this early stage, we need to be open-minded to what I call the unusual and strange, because innovations are initially often seem rather unusual and outlandish. I could do a whole lecture on stories in which an inventor came to my office at Cornell, and the first tendency is it's almost humorous, it's almost ludicrous, it's mind twisting. And some of us will react negatively to that. Some people, if you don't bring the right attitude to this early stage of innovation, you can kill the spirit, you can kill the optimism of an innovator or of the innovation. So you need to be open-minded to thinking a little bit differently than you might normally. Ask obvious questions. This is, again, part of the common sense. Bring your common sense to the table. I think common sense is one of the best traits you could bring to this process at this early stage, and ask obvious questions. How does this work? What is it? Why does it work so much better? How much better? Who cares? Just ask really basic questions, but don't expect all the answers. Some people get quite frustrated because they can't get the answers that they need at the outset. We all have, in this early stage of looking at technology, at early technology, for us to determine whether it's going to be viable, we have to accept uncertainty. There may be a lot of it, and that's okay. Now we want to try to zero in and reduce that uncertainty over time so that we reduce our risk. But early stages, it's okay to proceed without having answers to every single question. And be prepared to think creatively and outside the box. Okay, it's always at this early stage. Because I think thinking creatively, the reason I'm interested in new technology is because creativity is really the key attribute that becomes the critical ingredient to success. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to stop share just for a second. Sometimes this happens. I'll go back into it. So hopefully that, sorry. I don't know if this ever happens to you all, but sometimes when I make a little change in the middle of it, it hangs up. There we go. That should be, there we go. Sorry. You're going to be making a lot of assumptions. Now, the way to deal with uncertainty is to make assumptions. This is another skill that I think anybody involved in the university technology commercialization process needs to get good at making assumptions. Your job then is to validate them one by one. Okay, now let's talk about inventiveness and market relevance. I consider this to be the second element that is absolutely essential. Now, I am a technology specialist and a patent specialist. So I tend to focus first and foremost on what is the invention, is it viable? And now let's look at its inventiveness and market relevance. Okay, this is to me the key. Everything springs from this and from this inventiveness. It's the single most important factor. Now, some of you may know what inventiveness is, others may not. So I'm going to tell you. I consider it to be the single most important factor in technology commercialization. It has two essential components. And those two components are as follows. Number one is it has to have one or more unique features. Unique compared to everything out there, everything in existence. We call it the prior art. And we look at the patent literature and the technical literature and the public publications. Anything out there that that is comparable, we need to look at and see how our invention compares. So does the invention we're looking at for commercialization, does it have one or more unique features? Then this is the real important part. Number two, those unique features have to confer some superior performance or advantage. It's not enough to be unique. That uniqueness needs to confer something, some performance advantage. It can be a cost reduction. It can be a new feature, something that has some value somewhere in some application that has some economic aspects to it. So we go from inventive, we look at our invention and find out whether it's unique, what is unique about it, and then second of all, do those unique features confer some superior performance or advantage? If so, what are they? And then the question is that superior performance or advantage, does it have some market relevance? Okay, so this market relevance is the next step after you've determined the superior performance of your inventiveness of your invention. You need to know whether or not it's relevant, and as I say, ultimately economically relevant in one or more applications. Okay. Don't know why it keeps hanging up. Apologies, but I'm going to have to stop share. Something I just did. Okay. So let's talk about the property control position, or what I call the PCP. I don't know if any of you have attended any of the workshops that we put on that UPLB folks have attended. You may have heard me talk about the property control position. Some people know it, other people don't, but what the property control position is, and in my view, you need to have a PCP. The property control position is this suite of, first of all, you need to have it in order to manage the technology. What is it? Well, it's this suite, this collection of intellectual and biological property that covers the technology. Now, that's why I don't just call it intellectual property. Intellectual property meaning patents, trade secret, trademark, copyright. I include biological property because biological property is, in and of itself, is not intellectual property. It's tangible property. And this becomes really important in the agricultural sphere with plants, seeds, cuttings, cell lines, microbial cultures, etc. So that's a distinctly different kind of a property right. So normally when you're involved in a life science and agricultural technologies being one of them, you have this suite of both intellectual and biological property that covers the technology. It's important to know that it's a set of tools. Now, this is my experience that without some kind of a property control position, it's extremely difficult to commercialize a new technology. I don't know why it keeps hanging up. Apologies, guys.
It's okay, sir. This happens to the
Adjustment.
both of us.
When I make this little adjustment, it stops the advancing, and so I got to stop doing that. Yeah, there we are. So what's the purpose of the PCP? Well, it's to protect from piracy and freeloading and to incentivize investment. And that's really the biggest one, is that most of the technologies, the new technologies I've been familiar with and have worked with, you need investment and there needs to be a return on investment. And without the property control position, it's practically impossible to find a way to protect the asset and to affect a return on investment. So that's why we spend time thinking about the intellectual property that's going to protect it. And now you know that you also have to consider the possibility of having biological property, and you put them all together to create this optimized property control position. In my world, this PCP becomes a key factor in structuring partnerships and business arrangements. That's how we put together license deals, joint ventures, ownership agreements. It all works. It's all built around the PCP. So the value proposition. Now, this is where everything starts to pivot. So before I was talking about the technology and its inventiveness and that it's somehow superior. Superior to what? Well, now we've looked at market relevance. We've realized that it has some relevance in some market applications. Now we're going to get a little bit more focused. And my view is that every new technology must have at least one value proposition. Some will have more than one. They'll have numerous applications, and so you can have more than one value proposition. It's important to have at least one and to understand it, to focus on it. If it's very early stage, it's probably embryonic and you need to spend a lot of time developing it. Who's going to be developing it? Well, the inventor maybe is going to be working on it. Maybe the inventor has an idea about it. The tech transfer office, the first entrepreneur, definitely. If this is going to be, if this is a startup, absolutely essential that the entrepreneur have a very clear value proposition. Okay, what is the value proposition? Most of you know this, have heard it. Well, it's the benefits that the technology will provide. And it's described clearly, concisely, and thoroughly. the best value propositions are very, very short. They're less than a sentence in my experience. And the more time you spend on them, the shorter they can get. Now they're backed up with all kinds of information and data and so on, but you can describe it very concisely. Okay, so it's the benefits that the technology will provide at a cost that a future buyer will perceive as a compelling value. I'm going to tell you what value means. This is a real lens. This is a way, and I teach this all the time, and I use it all the time, and that is with any new technology. I want to know what is the value proposition. And if we don't have one, we got to start building one. And if you've started to build one, you need to get better at it. You need to refine it and to improve it. And initially you build it with assumptions, and then gradually you refine it and you make it sing. You make it just crystal clear, and the better you get it. And if you can't do it, ultimately you're going to fail. If you can't put together a real value proposition that is robust and will ultimately prove to be true. Value equals benefits minus cost, and that's always something, sometimes with new technology, people, whether that's the inventor, the tech transfer office, people wanting to get involved in it, entrepreneurs, people get excited about it. They think about the benefits, oftentimes neglecting the cost. I've had perfectly good technologies that have no value because their costs are so close to the benefits that or exceed the benefits that it becomes not valuable. So we have to be aware of the costs, and we have to look at the benefits, make sure we understand them, we quantify them. Now, one of the first things you want to be doing is you want to be talking to future buyers. You want to make sure that you're not just imagining this. If you're the inventor, if you're a tech transfer officer, if you're the entrepreneur, even if you're in an existing company and you're looking at a new technology for commercialization purposes, you want to make sure that that your assumption about the customer is valid. So you want to go out there and talk to people about it. This developing the value proposition is writing it, developing it, polishing it is really one of the best mechanisms that I know, the best processes to help you strategize on the commercialization of technology. It's a lens, as I say. The value proposition to me is it's much more important than just a business concept. It actually helps you develop the strategic thinking that will go into turning it into a successful product or service opportunity. Okay, so champion. Every technology I've ever been involved with that's been successful has a champion. Now, oftentimes they'll have more than one champion, but I'm just going to focus on a champion. Okay, so a champion, someone who actively and vigorously promotes their vision for the technology, its potential, and the business opportunity. Now, those of you who've been involved in new technologies, you can stop and you can think about it and go, oh yeah, each one of them has had a champion. Sometimes the inventor, not always, and it can be others, but there's someone who cares, who sees the potential and is willing to move it forward. So always looking for the champion. That was one of the things I was always trying to do, and sometimes I had to be the champion. So the champion perseveres enthusiastically. See, the champion has energy. The champion has a mindset. The champion has an attitude, and they have enthusiasm and energy. And if you talk to a lot of people who've been through a lot of this, like I have, they'll tell you that the probably single most important factor is the enthusiasm and passion and excitement that the champion brings to this process. Okay, because you need enthusiasm to push the technology, as I say, over, around, through, whatever it takes to get through all these different technical, legal, and business hurdles, and there are many. And those who aren't a champion, they will give up, they will quit, but the champion will stay with it. As I say, the champion is often the inventor, but not always. In my experience, many of the inventors I worked with are champions, but plenty of times they're not. They've done a good job with the invention and they're ready to move on to something else. It needs a new champion. That's why I think the technology transfer professional in a university is the natural born champion for every technology. Now, in some cases, the tech transfer professional doesn't need to be quite so energetic as a champion because the inventor is doing that. That's fine. And then they work together and in some kind of a team fashion. But many times in my experience, the tech transfer professional, they need to take the role of that first stage champion, to believe in the technology, to get it to a launching stage. Certainly, the first entrepreneur needs to be a champion. If this is going to be the basis of a startup, the first entrepreneur has to be a champion. No question about that. Now, if it's a technology that is being developed within a company, an existing company, there definitely still needs to be a champion within the company who will do all these things that I'm mentioning here to enthusiastically push the technology, to promote it actively and creatively. Can be a passionate angel investor. I was fortunate enough to know a few investors in our local region and in the state who were champions for technologies. They would get interested in the concept and in the impact for one reason or another, and it was typically not just business. These angel investors often have a real interest in the social aspects, in something other than just the pure return on investment. And the champions can also be others who join the company. You can have initial hires and staff people. So you never know exactly where the champion is. I would say certainly the first entrepreneur, oftentimes the inventor, and the tech transfer professional. As I say, that's their job. So they need to act as a champion. Partnering. My experience, partnering is essential. You can't go it alone. It requires almost always, and there's always exceptions, but in my experience, commercializing a new technology requires partners of some type. Now, they can be technical partners who will help for one reason or another, will help you over your technical hurdles, will collaborate with you for one reason or another. For example, they see some benefit, you're using some of their equipment, or they see that if you're successful, somehow they will be successful in the future. They're interested in partnering with you technically. Business partners are the classic. You know, you're a small company, or certainly if you're a university tech transfer office, you need to partner with a business partner, somebody who's going to, a licensee who's going to implement. A commercialization partner, I distinguish that from technical or business in that the commercialization process may be less focused on a pure profit. It may be involved in some more strategic value brought to the partnership. So commercialization, we'll talk about this, about commercialization allies, which I'm a big fan of, developing commercialization allies in the process of commercializing university technology. We, in fact, I say look for good partners. Always be looking for good partners. When I was at Cornell, and then I still am doing this, the name of the game is look for partners. Know what you're looking for. Be open-minded. Have some sense of what it is you need and what kind of partnership you can profit from, and be looking for good partners all the time, to be networking and also to be a good partner. And this may be obvious, but it isn't. I've seen a lot of small companies and SMEs. I've seen companies in general, and maybe even TTOs. I guess there are some like that who are not particularly good partners. What does that mean? Well, being a good partner means that you're not just out for number one. You're not just out to satisfy your own or your own institutional needs. You know, you realize that this is symbiosis, that this is collaboration, this is cooperation. You need to be looking out for the other side. There's the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's a beautiful rule that works beautifully. Know your boundaries. So when you're partnering, know your boundaries. Now this goes back somewhat to the your property control position. So that's usually where I start, is let's make sure we understand what our property control position. What is it we own? What is it we hold? What is our asset here? And then you want to make sure that you know what you have and what you do not have. And so where there are boundaries, and you want to make sure that you know how to go into arrangements, knowing what your boundaries are. If they're blurry, this can present problems. So you need to understand what is yours and what is somebody else's. Make sure, like somebody once said, good fences make good neighbors. Make sure you have a clear understanding of what belongs to you, and know what your needs are. It's really essential, and people kind of, I know this is sort of seems like obvious, but people don't really sometimes sit down and think deeply and carefully about what it is they need. And without that, then they just kind of wander around looking for partners, and they wouldn't know a good partner if they saw one, because they don't know really what their needs are. Are they technical needs? Are they business needs, commercialization needs, etc.? What are your assets? Now, again, this relates to the PCP, your property control position, but it involves people. In fact, sometimes at some point, people are going to be probably the most important asset to any technology commercialization. I mean, it's people that makes all of this work. And you've probably heard that savvy investors who look for new technologies to invest in, their real interest is investing in the people. So that's an asset that you would have and you would be aware of in addition to your property control. When you're thinking about partnering, and this goes back to this idea of being a good partner, remember to think big picture. I've seen unenlightened self-interest, narrow self-centeredness, and just plain old greed destroy the potential for partnerships or destroy partnerships. The best partnerships are those where the principals have a more enlightened view, and they see that maybe they'll give on something today because it's for the greater good of the partnership going forward or in the longer term. So, and that may be just my personality, probably is, but it's worked for me for over 40 years. Making the connection. So following on this concept that partnerships aren't just a good idea, they're vital. My experience is partnerships are almost always the key to successful commercialization. Whether you're in a company, whether you're in a TTO, whether you're an inventor, wherever the technology is in the continuum of commercialization, partnerships are almost always key. So finding and connecting with potential partners is required. So, and I see this frequently where new technology commercializers are not motivated, or they don't know that they need to be motivated to find and connect with potential partners. It needs to be done with a proactive attitude. This is probably the secret sauce that I would apply to all those technologies that are being developed in the Philippines, for example, right now, is if I could wave a magic wand and make one wish, it would be that all of those involved in new technology commercialization would bring this proactive attitude to moving things forward, to taking action now, to making sure that things happen every single day. You come to your office or your whatever your workspace is and say what it is it I can do today to move the technology forward, whatever role you are in this process of commercializing university technology. You need to do it with creativity. Okay, so proactive, creative, open-mindedness, and that means sometimes thinking and you know, you have to have ideas that maybe aren't that prove to be not such great ideas, but at least be open-minded to think about them. And you have to be you have to persevere. Okay. For example, if you have identified a potential partner, say a business partner that you know that this is a company that could help in one way or another with the technology, with opening up a market, and they don't initially respond well, don't give up. Try other routes. Wait for a while. Be patient. Come back around. So, you know, it's like somebody once said, Thomas Edison tried 10,000 different materials before he finally got the right one of tungsten to make the light bulb. And somebody said to him, well, how does it feel to have failed 9,999 times? And he said, oh, I didn't fail. I had almost 10,000 steps leading up to a success. So be prepared, be patient, keep trying, okay? And maintain a positive attitude. And I think maintaining a friendly and open demeanor, I think that's one of the keys. When I look around and I see a lot of successful people in the new technology commercialization game. Now, I know there are people who are good at it, and they're people that nobody likes, and they're greedy and they're mean. Somehow they can be successful. I think mostly it's luck or something, but in my experience, well, that just is not very enjoyable life anyway, as far as I'm concerned. And so I think that being friendly and having an open demeanor and enjoying people and treating people right, they'll treat you right too. Networking. That's how you're going to be making connections. Whoever you are, whether you're in the tech transfer office, whether you're an inventor, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're in an existing company, networking is the key. And these days we can use digital means, we can use LinkedIn and other processes, but be creative and put energy into the networking and following leads. When somebody says to you, when you're doing networking, someone says, you know what, you ought to be talking to so-and-so. Follow up with that and don't forget about it. I see this all the time where people will get a lead, but they don't follow up on it and they just let it go. And I think serendipity If you know what I mean, that word serendipity means something that you didn't expect to happen, but something happens serendipitously that is a positive. You didn't expect it, you didn't design for it, it just happens. And if I had to look back on my life and point to one thing that has been the most exhilarating, it's that serendipity that happens when you least expect it. But it also happens because you put energy into it and you remain open. Commercialization allies. Typically, these are for-profit entities, so they're not government entities or not-for-profits. They see some benefit to themselves from your success. So each and every technology commercialization effort has the potential for commercialization allies. And these allies, I think maybe I'm going to show you a couple here so you'll get get a feel for what I'm talking about. They can be hugely valuable in the process. Yeah, I threw up some examples here. These are real examples that I know about and I've worked with. One vegetable distributor company helped a novel packaging startup. Now I won't go into the details about how they helped, but this vegetable distributor saw this novel packaging startup as having some viable technology that they wanted to see be successful, probably ultimately because they wanted to be able to use the technology. So they provided all kinds of resources to the startup. Now here's another one, Fruit Growers Assist Pest Control Startup. So I was advising the pest control startup. We found that this pest control technology did a really good job of controlling a pest on a particular crop. So the startup just went to the association of this crop association and got all kinds of help on the promise that this technology then could benefit the whole industry. Here's one. This one came about in a neighboring country. This was in Thailand, where the Rubber Producer Association helped a small company that had an additive, a new invention, a chemical additive that made rubber work better in certain applications. So the rubber producers were more than willing to help out in one way or another this startup. Here's another one, a food processor with waste problem helped an energy from biomass startup. And how they help, it's all different, it's case by case. It's one of the most powerful factors in the commercialization process. And there's another one, a couple of others. They're all interesting stories, and the take-home message is stop and think about companies that have an interest in seeing the technology be successful, and look around and you'll find them. Okay, so investment. Let's see, and how much time I think we have. Maybe another 5 minutes or so, right? Investment. Okay, let me state the obvious, right? We all know that you need to have money. Money is almost always an issue. You got to have some, but believe it or not, and some of you may already know this, too much too soon isn't really a good idea. You know about the lean startup. The lean startup, when we're lean, we're not overweight with money. I have lots of stories about what happens when there's too much money in a commercialization process. Creativity disappears. That focus, that attention, all the factors that go into making us more creative and more capable kind of leave. Timing is critical, of course. I think it's a good idea to be looking for investment before you're in starvation mode. So be looking for down the road. Get ready for the investment that's needed. Know how much is needed, for what. And this is another one where I talk to entrepreneurs, I talk to inventors, I talk to tech transfer offices. I go, how much do you need? And they go, I don't know exactly. Well, we got to know, not exactly, but we need to know, we need to have a budget figure. How much do you need? What would you spend it on? When do you need it? Why? These questions should be answered before we go out looking for money. And then we're going to be looking for quality investors. I used to think that any money, when I was first at Cornell, that any money was good money, and that's not true. There were professional investors that were really good to work with, and there were others that were predatory. You know, they were not good to work with. They didn't care about the institution. They didn't care about the inventor. They didn't care about anything except how much money was going to go into their pocket and how fast. It's essential to find patient and investors that are committed to the vision. And as I say, angels, we ended up at Cornell really cultivating relationships with a whole group of different angel investors, those who shared our vision and who were patient and committed to the success, long-term success, and also committed to the people involved. Wherever you are, if you're involved in commercializations, particularly if you're the entrepreneur, but you know, even if you're in the tech transfer office, or you know, if you're in a small company, maybe you've acquired the technology, or maybe you're developing it, always be thinking, how can I make this an investable opportunity? Now, you may not need investment, but it's a way of sharpening your focus. It's a way of thinking and strategizing so that you ultimately will be successful if you create this investable opportunity based on the new technology. So finally, in the last few minutes, some of these factors that turn out to be more important than any of the other 9: perseverance, patience, luck, and resilience. So first is the mindset of the champion, and certainly the entrepreneur if it's a startup. The mindset of the champion, whether that's the TTO, the tech transfer office manager who's handling the technology, the inventor, whoever's the champion, their mindset, that is going to be essential. It's the most important factor. It's always going to be difficult. Starting, you know, launching new technologies always is a challenge. Do not give up too soon. What about luck? Well, luck is a factor. And but I think it's a factor, and I've got a couple of quotes here that I think put it in perspective. Luck is what happens when preparation and skill meet opportunity. Now, I don't know who said that, but it's one I've known for a long time. Okay, so luck just doesn't happen to anyone. Luck happens to those who do the work and are prepared and just keep on pushing and persevering. Okay. The other one, Ben Franklin said, diligence is the mother of good luck. So yeah, you work hard and you are diligent, you're proactive and you're creative and you're pushing and you got that proactive mindset, good luck will come your way. And then finally, resilience, the essential character trait. That's what this requires. This university, commercializing university, new technology, agrobiotechnology, or any, the resilience, okay, of those involved, particularly the champions. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. Henry Ford. So with that, I will end and say thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. And I don't know if there's any question time. I'll leave that to the organizers to tell me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Cahoon, for the very informative and insightful talk on commercializing technologies, delving deeper into the essential elements of commercializing technologies. Also, sir, thank you for accepting our invite as guest speaker for this webinar amidst the time difference.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Personally, I was enlightened by those 10 essential elements. So, as a recall, I would like to enumerate those elements. So, we have viable tech, inventiveness and market relevance, property control position or PCP, value proposition, a champion, partnering, then making the connection, commercialization allies, investment, and lastly, perseverance, patience, luck, and resilience. So, yeah, there we have it. Okay.
I will send my slides.
Oh, thank you for that, sir. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed with our Q&A portion of the program, please take note of the following reminders. So please use the raise hand function so that I can call you, or feel free to use the Q&A chat box and type in those questions. For those who are watching our live stream through Facebook, type in those questions that you may have in the comment section, and I will read them for you. Okay, so so far so good. Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, so I think we can now proceed with our question and answer portion. Okay, do I still have echo? Can anyone tell me? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a question on our Q&A chat box. So let's start with this one. What happens in a situation in which those in administrative functions of partner institutions, including university, in technology commercialization are not partnering, seeming disconnected and definitely not in a proactive mode? Thank you very much for the very insightful presentation. So again, what happens in a situation in which those in administrative functions of partner institutions in technology commercialization are not partnering?
Oh yeah, well that's not an easy one, is it? I guess you have to step back and go, okay, how much do we really need them? You know, if they're like, for example, are they joint owners of the technology, or are they just sort of bit players? If they're bit players, maybe you just design around them. But if you need them, then you've got a significant problem if they're not being proactive. I think you're going to have to make up for their lack with your extra effort. Maybe they need help in, maybe you need to show them the way. Maybe you need to have an audience with the decision maker. Maybe you need to, and I would always try to be constructive, you know, have a constructive plan. Come in and say, you know, don't just be angry and resentful about it, and come in and say, look, we have a plan to move forward and we'd like to do that. So try to be constructive, but I think maybe you're just going to have to put energy into it. Not an easy answer. That's hard when you have a partner that will not cooperate.
That is fairly true, Dr. Cahoon. So we also have another question here, sir. Can you share some personal experiences that prepared you to be successful in commercializing technologies?
Sure. Well, how far back do you want to go? I mean, my father, when I was a little kid, I was 9 years old, and my dad taught me how to work hard, and I mowed lawns, and he made sure that I always wanted to run away and not finish the job. My dad made me persevere. I was also in sports, and sports I learned that you have to persevere and you have to keep going. And even when you feel defeated, you have to keep trying, I guess. that those would be um, the keys. But I guess also I was fortunate early on where I I had some experiences where I learned that just not giving up initially paid off. And even when I felt like I couldn't do something, if I just put one foot in front of the other and just stayed calm and just proceeded to solve the things, didn't try to solve everything all at once, and didn't look at the top of the mountain. I just looked at the footsteps in front of me and just one step at a time solved problems. Those things really paid off in the long run.
Oh, that was very inspiring indeed, Sir Cahoon. And yeah. Okay, so we still have a few questions here. Okay, so let's start with this one. What are the prior information I need to have or take note during research if I want to commercialize my technology?
Well, I said in my presentation that using your common sense, really think about, okay, is this a problem that I'm solving? Who cares about this? Do you really think, use your intuition? Do you think you've solved a problem? Ask yourself that question, then ask some people around you. And if you think you're solving a problem, one of the biggest limitations of people in research, one of their biggest failures is their failure to go out to talk to people who would know whether or not this is a solution that people are interested in. So I would say the key is you've got something in the lab. You think it's got some potential because it solves some problem that you think is important and people need it solved and they're willing to pay to have it solved. Go out and talk to people. If it's for a farmer, go talk to some farmers. Say, ask them the question. You don't have to give them all the details of your technology or invention. Just say, hypothetically, if I had something like that solved this problem, would you care, and how much? So go out there, talk to people, enjoy talking to people about their problems and your potential solution.
Okay, sir. So we have another question here. I think, sir, a lot of questions are coming in from our participants because they're really interested with this talk that you had earlier. So the next question that we have is, what's your experience in working with technology business incubators or accelerators in terms of increasing the success rate of startups and scale-up business?
Well, I think they play an important role, and it's all about how effective the people are who are running it, and sometimes they're like super good people who really know how to make things happen. They're open-minded, they're friendly, they're receptive. They've set up a structure that makes it inviting and easy to work with. Then there's others not so much. So sometimes there's a personality issue, sometimes there's some structural issues. But I would say that as a startup, I would certainly try to find out whether or not an incubator or an accelerator can help me, and knock on every door and try seeing if it might work for you. Always try to take advantage of that, and as well as any government programs that might be helpful for you. So I think they can be very helpful.
Thank you, Sir Cahoon, for answering that question. So we have another one. Is that okay, Dr. Cahoon?
Sure.
Okay. So what's the longest time it took to commercialize a product, probably in your own experience? How did you and your partners and inventors stay motivated towards this whole process?
Well, I always tell the story about the one that was the longest, took 15 years, but most of us don't want to talk about that one. That was a rare one. You know, they certainly take longer than you expected. I mean, they, you know, to reach a certain level of success. And of course, you have to ask, you know, what does success mean? I'm working with a company now that we're a spinoff from Cornell. They have 50 employees and they've been sustainably successful for 20 years now. So I'd say they're successful. It probably took them 5 years to try and make mistakes and that sort of thing. I would say that, you know, 5 years is about it. I mean, some companies don't last that long. But anybody who's really serious knows that it's going to probably take, you know, 3 at a minimum to really get some things launched.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, so we have another question here. Okay. So potential partners, investors have been discouraged by the university's bureaucracy or red tape. So how do you deal with that personally, sir?
Yeah, that is a problem, and I see that. I see. I mean, you have to all labor with the Fairness Opinion Board, and that has a bit of bureaucracy that I think all of us who are in the tech transfer business look at as a real hurdle for everyone involved. Well, I guess I would say this. Now, I had a really interesting conversation with someone in the Fairness Opinion. Now, I know there's more to bureaucracy than the Fairness Opinion, but I guess I would say that if you can coach the investor through it and say, you know, look, we're gonna look, we'll take some of this responsibility. We'll work with our administration and we'll do our best so that the investor doesn't have to take all the frustration. Maybe shield them from some of the more frustrating aspects of the bureaucracy. I mean, there are things we can do behind the scenes that are sort of politically, you know, to massage things and to get them lined up and sort of in the right alignment. But I don't have an easy, quick answer for you. I think that's a problem that the Philippines has, the bureaucracy. I mean, we all have it. Every university has bureaucracy because there's no really how it's not, universities aren't really set up to commercialize technology. But I would just say, you know, what I said, be patient, persevere, make your arguments, don't get too frustrated, don't get angry, just one step at a time and try to convince your investors that you'll get there. If it's a good enough opportunity, the investor will, and this is part of having an angel, you know, an angel investor will understand that you're going to have to, they'll work with you on it. But no easy answer on that, I'm sorry to say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, Dr. Kuhn, thank you for that. I think we still have a few more questions on the board. I think we have 3 or 4. Is that okay, Dr. Kuhn?
Sure, let's do 3. Let's do 3 more.
Okay, so let's do 3 more. Okay, so the next question is, we have evaluated technologies from UPLB Biotech, and we have selected some technologies. Unfortunately, we are not into production or commercialization yet. My question would be, who can point UPLB Biotech and or Sagrex to reliable, dependable manufacturers? Actually, I think our panelists can also answer this question since this is from UPLB Biotech.
So what's the question?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Dr. Cahoon. I think for uh, for the person who asked this question, I think you should send this question via email so that we can give you a proper answer for this one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So, Dr. Cahoon, we have a question here for you. From your experience, which is more practical, a focused single partner or multiple partners for commercialization?
Well, my first reaction is to say a focused single partner, and the reason being that anytime you get multiple partners, your life gets complex. I mean, it's hard enough to work with one partner, uh, but if you start getting multiple, it just complicates everything. And so um, I would prefer, if I had a choice, I would like to have one strong main partnership rather than multiple. Now, that said, every technology commercialization is its own little work of art. In other words, it's all very case specific. And so what I just said to you, that I would prefer a single partner, in some cases, because of the facts, it would be preferable to have multiple partners. Depends upon the technology, depends upon the marketplace. But all things being equal, I would prefer to have just one good, solid partner to rely on, develop the relationship.
Mhm. Okay. I hope our anonymous participant was able to get that because it's that actually is really important when it comes to commercialization. So we still have two more questions. Okay, so two more. Um, okay, so how do you work around valuing a new technology? Do you have any computations? If so, how do you do them? What computations do you do to estimate the commercial value of an investment in a new technology?
Well, I use the term pre-negotiation valuation,
Mm-hmm.
which is if it's a new technology, nobody really knows what the precise value of a technology is. So you make a lot of assumptions, uh, a lot of educated assumptions and projections, and you build an argument. But typically, there are several methods, and the one I'll just say right off the bat, this sort of the standard method is what's called the or income method, where you look at a technology and you envision its product or service, and then you envision its market share, and you make projections about market share, and you do what's called a net present value calculation. Now, you can get really fancy with a lot of your calculations, and usually there's a point of diminishing returns where trying to analyze something that doesn't really exist anyway, which is mostly based on a bunch of assumptions, is probably overkill. And so what you do is you just do a certain level of sort of common sense level, rational basis, which is the beginning of a negotiation. Typically, there's some kind of a negotiation with, if you're valuing it for a license agreement, for example, it's you do your pre-negotiation valuation to establish a starting point for a negotiation. Most of the technology valuations that I'm familiar with, aside from litigation and mergers and acquisitions and big rare events like that, they involve two parties negotiating back and forth. And so there you are, this valuation process is really just informing that process. It isn't coming up with a precise valuation. It's helping put parameters around negotiation where two or more parties can converge on an accepted value.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for that, Sir Cahoon. So I think we only have yeah, we only have time for one last question. So
Okay.
you've said that timing is critical in investment. At what stage of a startup do you recommend to look for investors? So
Well, first of all, remember what I said about making your technology investable. So that's first things first, is make sure that you want to make your opportunity as investable and as inviting as possible before you go out. You want to be able to pick and choose. So this is one of the things that you see with those who aren't very experienced in this, is that they go out and they look for money right away, and they find some money and they get in bed, so to speak, with the investor, and they find out later that they don't really like that investor. So what I say is, try to hold off getting investment for a while. Now, how long is a while? I would say for, if you can do it for a couple of years, that would be best. If you could just figure out how to do it. Now, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're going to have to get some investment, but be very careful about who the investor is. Look for angels in that first year if you really need the money. Most of the time in those very early stages, it's the fool's friends and family. That's how I got my first startup. No fools. I didn't get any fools, but friends and family. So, so I would say put it off if you can, and be picky, and make your technology attractive, make your little company investable, and then you can be the chooser. When you go out and you look for different investors, the investors will compete to invest in you. So put it off as long as you can. Okay.
okay, so I think uh, Dr. Kuhn was able to answer all the questions that we have for the time being. So again, thank you very much, Dr. Cahoon, for answering those questions. I know you are already tired, so we truly appreciate your effort for answering these questions. So again, thank you.
My
Thank you very much
pleasure.
from all of us.
My pleasure. And Arnil, thank you for being a good MC.
Oh, thank you so much, Claire, for
Thanks
that.
for everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, nice, sir. So for our participants, if you have other questions, I can see a lot of questions are being still sent on our Q&A box. So we'll flash the details on the screen of who to contact right about now. Okay, there you go. So please direct those questions that you may have to our email. And I'm very sorry if we're not able to attend to all of those questions that you may have. I know everyone's interested with the talk that Dr. Cahoon had earlier. So we'll do our best to answer all the questions that you may have, okay? So with that said, let us now proceed to the next part of our program. So in line with SEARCA's goal towards accelerating transformation through agricultural innovation, or ATTAIN, let's learn about SEARCA's emerging innovation for growth programs initiatives to attain Agriculture 4.0 through open collaboration, agri-incubation, and technology transfer through this short video. So let's watch this.
The evolving context of agriculture, rural development, and state of farmers as aligned with global goals focus on the contribution of agriculture to hunger and malnutrition eradication. SEARCA has embraced the rhythms of change with new, innovative practices to transform the lives of farmers and the agricultural industry. With its mission to elevate the quality of life of agricultural families through sustainable and resilient livelihoods, SEARCA steers agriculture from the traditional farming production towards an agribusiness perspective in a modern agriculture ecology by accelerating transformation through agricultural innovation to attain Agriculture 4.0. The SEARCA innovates model of open collaboration with academe industry government interconnectivity is a combination of independent but highly integrated component tool designed to attain sustainable development goals through Agriculture 4.0, a modern world transformed by innovative technologies, processes, and dynamics. The SEARCA innovates component tools include Index, as the research and information arm of projects powered by the SEARCA innovates model of open collaboration. Serves, specialists and experts for rural viable emerging solutions that identify and implement innovative but practical solutions to persistent farming challenges. Ideates, innovation competitions that focus on engaging the youth, children, students, and brilliant minds in promoting agri-innovation to modernize agriculture and build local rural innovation ecosystems. Blocks, building linkages and open collaboration for knowledge systems, is an innovative and open shared service hub promoting locally adaptable agri-technologies that can be adopted by small farmers and rural communities. A for Life, Agriculture 4.0 livelihood integration towards farming enterprises for building local and community-based innovation ecosystems and inclusive agribusiness value chains to produce a generation of green startups and agripreneurs. And Space, the Southeast Asia platform to attain collaboration and empowerment for a powerful innovation and open collaboration gateway for agri-incubation and technology transfer information, programs, resources, and networks in the world where SEARCA operates. Powered by SEARCA Innovates Model, the Emerging Innovation for Growth, EIG, as the new program in SEARCA's 11th five-year plan steps out from old ways that are no longer farmer benefiting to attain Agriculture 4.0 under three focus areas, namely open collaboration and agri-incubation, knowledge and technology transfer tools, and project development monitoring and evaluation. SEARCA partners to usher farmers out of the belief that farming is limited to production as an agribusiness operating in a modern agriculture ecosystem for better, bigger, smarter impact to farmers and farming families.
Get involved, spread the word. SEARCA innovates. If you're connected with a group that supports agriculture for farming families, we invite you to collaborate with our academe, industry, government partnership for better, bigger, smarter innovations. Together, let's attain Agri 4.0.
So that was Circus Attain Agriculture 4.0. So moving on, our next speaker for this morning is the president of Philippine Farm Fix Solutions Incorporated, which is an agrochemical company that provides pest and disease management products. Backed up with over 30 years of experience in the field of agrochemical and agri-technology industry, he will talk about biologics and soil amendments. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Mr. Joel Lacerda. Good morning, sir.
Good morning po, Sir Ariel. Hello.
Yeah, good morning po.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll start. I'll share my screen. Um, Sorry, I'm not sharing my video. Just for a short while, I can show my video, but because my Wi-Fi is very slow, I need to put off my video camera. So I'll
It's okay, sir. You can share it to us
yeah later I'll.
later. Yeah. Okay, sir.
So just to introduce the company, our company is Philippine Farm Fix. This has been established in 2013, and moving. We are a company that incorporates solutions to fix the farms in the Philippines. We are more focused on both banana and pineapple plantations, our main market, but we also develop products for rice and other crops. Our mantra is helping the farmers' business and our suppliers' business. Uh, Dr. Kahun discussed about some of good ideas of the inventors. On our part, we develop those inventions into commercial applications so that the farmers may get the benefits from those inventions. So we look at quality. These are our core values. Partnership with the supplier, the inventor, or even also the customers. And we also want to be a responsible company and also on innovativeness. That's why we seek for some new products and new inventions. In fact, several years we've visited UPLB frequently and check whatever technology that we might be able to develop from the inventors in UPLB. So this our team. We are composed of a technical team. We have the industrial team, sales and marketing, accounting, and logistics and HR. I am the founder of the company. I've graduated from the university with bachelor's of science in agriculture, major in horticulture. I got my MBA from Ateneo de Davao, and I'm ongoing DBA student. I started my career in Ron Polang in 1988. Then we merged with Herx, became Aventis, and later on I joined a local company, another graduate of UPLB who established Chocanima uh, for 10 years. And in 2013, I established Philippine Farm Fix Solutions. All these companies are involved in the development of products for agriculture, specifically agrochemicals, and the distribution and marketing of those products. The company, FarmFix, we have this core competence, serving more affordable alternative products to our customers. These are the off-patent products so that they will have some savings. We also introduce innovative solutions like some products for crop protection to make agriculture more sustainable. Also on the reduction of the use of some old uh, products like inorganic pesticides. We also do some little research and experiments on our own. So we also collaborate with some researchers in the industry, such as Dr. Panimbatan, who is also an alumnus of UPLB. And he also took his doctoral PhD from the Cornell University, same as Dr. Kahung. We develop our own experiment station. We have a 2 hectare experiment station for bananas and pineapple somewhere in Davao del Norte. We are studying some products like biostimulants, phytopert, which is a Dutch invention from a scientist who is uh, uh, who is in Wageningen University in Netherlands. A product like Delphan, which is amino acid coming from Spain, and Cerasulfur also from the Dutch company. We study plant health, soil health, cultural regimen that will address some issues like fusarium in the bananas. And we also develop some products, mostly biostimulants, which could be alternative solutions to crop production, specifically for bananas and pineapple. And we also study some, well, still biostimulants, but these are used as anti-stress, both for biotic and abiotic stresses. We also are into the precision agriculture. We were the first to get some licenses for the drone spraying, and we are also doing some ortho mapping and NDVI mapping. We also adhere to standards, so we are currently doing our 9001 and our accounting system, which is an SAP Business One. All of our products passes through the analytical laboratories of third parties, and all are registered with fertilizer and pesticide authority. We have several partners globally. We source products and we are a partner of some companies in developing their products in the Philippines. So these are some of them. We are supplying these plantation companies in Mindanao. So that's the background of Philippine Farm Picks, our company. And basically, as I said, that while in UPLB and scientists like Dr. Richard Kahun invents good alternative products, our role is on the development of those products in the market where it is applicable. So we are operating in the banana farms, banana market. So this is the banana plantations are like this. If you haven't been to the banana plantations in Mindanao, of course everybody knows about banana, and these are all in the Google. Pineapple is the second biggest fruit export for the Philippines, and this is also one of our focus because both on bananas and pineapple, we deal with the scientific research organizations of those plantations. So what are the challenges on both these fruit companies, on both fruit crops, banana and pineapple? Of course, we know that our climate is no longer as predictable. In fact, even before, climate is really very unpredictable. But nowadays, they have more challenges on the climate change. The demands of the market, uh, some of the markets really demands, if not organic, at least less chemicals. So lower or non-detectable residues. Like, for example, Japan and Korea, they are very strict in accepting any fruits. Their MRL are established. They call it positive list. If you fail or if you are not in the list, at least you have to show that it is not detectable, because their detection, their acceptance is zero point zero 0.01 ppm. So that's very low, and with the new technology and new equipment, the uh, the detection level is already parts per billion. So definitely a little detection, a little very small residue or trace can be detected and might not pass their qualification. Then the global gap requirements, most of the other countries and other market demands that the farms where they buy their fruits are certified with a global gap or good agricultural practices. And another one is the Rainforest Alliance, the RFU, where they're so strict that they discourage or they prohibit the use of so many pesticides, even if they are still registered and not yet banned in the country. But Rainforest Alliance, if you need their certification, you need to abide by their policies. The pests and diseases, well, since I, or even in the establishment of the College of Agriculture, I think it's already part of the science in agriculture. But in the past, we have much difficult pest and disease problems. So as soon as our scientists develops a solution to specific pest or specific disease, some of them will soon be another big problem. Like the fusarium in banana nowadays is a big problem in the industry, and some pests which do not exist in the past or are not pests in the past, like thrips and some insects, becomes a big problem nowadays. And of course, another challenge is the impact of pandemic, which all of us are affected. Yeah, we look also on the trends in the market. Of course, as I mentioned, the trend in the market, a lot of people, especially the young ones, they are more health conscious, according to some, well, some in the social media. Healthy lifestyle. They demand organic food or the MRLs, very low MRLs, and then the strict adherence, as I mentioned, the GAP and RFU. These are the trends now. Then the new ag. It is called the new ag. It's another segment of agriculture. In the past, we have a lot of exhibits and conferences on crop, on agrochemicals. That includes fertilizer, the usual fertilizer and pesticide. But now there's an emerging group called New Ag, where they introduce the biorationals, the biostimulants, some botanicals, and focus on the plant nutrition or plant health versus specific crop protection products. Meaning, if we make the plant healthier, then we have less problem on crop protection. That's the essence of the new ag. And also for the precision agriculture, which also the aim is to be very specific on the problems that has to be addressed, so that the input will be specific to the problem. That's why the introduction of the precision agriculture and all the technology attached to it is being promoted, but it's still on the infancy stage. Even the big, well-funded plantation companies, these are corporate farms who are funded with the budget to develop this technology, they are still lagging behind on this precision agriculture. So having these trends, biologics, I Google it and search that it says these are drugs made from complex molecules manufactured using microorganisms, plants, and animal cells. Many are produced using recombinant DNA technology. They're sometimes referred to as biopharmaceuticals or biological drugs. We have also developed some products which are almost aligned to biologics, but these are from suppliers in other countries. We haven't developed anything which is local as of now, but just to introduce some of the products that we are developing in both banana and pineapple plantations. This
Our
one.
job is to take care of our plants. Guided by the seasons, we sow, we fertilize. We are farmers. Still, we can't master everything. The weather is always unpredictable. Sometimes it's freezing, sometimes there is inadequate rainfall. These stress periods affect our plants. What are the consequences? The plant can't reach its maximum yield potential. This is why we created Delphin Plus. Sprayed on the plant, it helps them to strengthen against external stresses, climatic stress, and phytotechnical stress. But how does Delphin Plus actually work? To understand this, you have to speak the language of the plants, understand their needs. Let's take a closer look. A plant is a very sophisticated factory. The roots pump the nitrates to the leaves, which are then transformed into amino acids and finally put together as proteins. But sometimes unexpected events happen. The nitrates don't arrive to the leaves factory. The amino acids are drastically reduced. The factory is just ticking over. This is the moment when Delphin Plus steps in. It is composed of 17 different amino acids. Sprayed onto the plant, Delphin Plus is very quickly absorbed by the plant leaves. The factory is then revived and runs at full capacity. Results? Our plants are in great shape, and we can count on good profitability for the end of the season. Thanks to Delphin Plus. Our job.
So that was a presentation from the Spanish company who supplies us the amino acid, the Delphan Plus. And that's basically, well, all of us are composed of amino acid. And they just developed the free amino acid by cutting all the bonds so that the amino acids will be freely used by the plant and improve the health of the plant by skipping some of the processes in producing the amino acid. They also have another product, this one.
On the rocky coast of Ireland is a well-kept hidden secret. A seaweed which could change the way we conceive fertilizers. Seamus McGarvey managed the seaweed resource of the region for over 30 years for a state enterprise. He wants to show us the stunning potential of the Irish coast.
When you come to the shore, the first thing you see is the masses of seaweeds that are there. There are many different types. It's said there are over 500 species growing. You've got the greens, the reds, and the browns. The one that I'm interested in, and the one that I've spent all my life being involved with, is the brown. It's the Ascophyllum nodosum.
Here, Ascophyllum is a precious resource. The farmers have understood the enormous value of this seaweed. For generations, they gathered it to feed the soil and their animals.
Right, that's a typical Ascophyllum plant. As you can see, this is near the root or the holdfast area, where it's a dark green, and the light green or yellowish is the new growth. It holds itself onto the rock by holdfast. It feeds gets the nutrient through the spores, and it has to be fairly resilient, this plant, because the tide leaves it 2 times a day and comes back 2 times a day. So it's out of the water for about half of its life.
The way it is harvested hasn't changed. The harvester cuts the seaweed with a small sickle, taking care to leave the base. The base will ensure future harvests are possible. Then, the seaweed is transported by boat and ready to be transformed. Declan Gallagher has managed OGT since 2004. Trade Corp acquired OGT in 2014. He supervises the transformation of the seaweed.
So the challenge we face is taking a raw material like this and then developing a system which allowed us to retain all the nutrients that are found with this raw material and turn it into a high concentrate, high quality seaweed extract.
To achieve this, the OGT and Trade Corp engineers developed a unique cold extraction technique called gentle extraction. The fresh seaweed is sorted by hand and only the high quality seaweed is kept. Then they are washed to eliminate all the residues. The seaweed then enters a unique cold extraction process without the addition of chemicals. This process preserves the nutrients, vitamins, and antioxidants naturally present in Ascophyllum. The result? A natural seaweed juice called Filgreen. We are in Belgium at the University of Liège-en-Bleu. Frank Hennekart is a seaweed specialist from Trade Corp. He wants to discuss with Patrick Dujardin, professor of plant biology, about the uniqueness of Ascophyllum.
On s'aperçoit que le rôle de ces algues et de ces extraits d'algues va au-delà de la fonction d'engrais, que les algues sont capables de moduler, de réguler l'expression des gènes des plantes cultivées, va les aider à mieux se développer, à mieux se protéger aussi contre les stress de l'environnement. Donc les extraits d'algues sont, au-delà d'être des engrais, ce sont des biostimulants.
The chemists at Trade Corp are particularly interested in this biostimulant function. With Professor Dujardin, they try to determine the unique biostimulant modes of action on plant development.
Les biostimulants, ce sont des substances ou des micro-organismes. On va étendre la définition donc à ces micro-organismes qui sont appliqués aux végétaux cultivés pour favoriser leur croissance, leur développement et en agissant à 3 niveaux. Le premier, c'est l'efficience de la nutrition. La plante est plus efficace pour acquérir les nutriments de son environnement, pour les assimiler. Le deuxième niveau, c'est la tolérance aux stress environnementaux, les stress abiotiques, qui sont le froid, la salinité, la sécheresse. Et le troisième niveau, c'est la qualité des produits végétaux récoltés. Les extraits d'algues donc sont finalement des biostimulants bien connus depuis longtemps. Ils ont été les premiers, parmi les premiers à avoir été identifiés comme tels. Et aujourd'hui, ce sont des biostimulants pour lesquels les effets sont particulièrement bien documentés.
Several trials on pears and oranges have given production increases thanks to better flowering. Other results confirm that Filgreen improves the quality of wine and vegetable production. Yield increases in cereals and grasslands have also been observed.
Beaucoup de problèmes de production auxquels ils doivent faire face sont liés à des problèmes de stress abiotique. Et dans ce cadre-là, nous nous sommes dit, mais pourquoi pas essayer d'optimiser la production de Filgreen pour répondre au mieux à ces stress abiotiques. D'où l'idée de développer cette extraction à basse température qui va permettre de limiter le dommage aux éléments clés de l'algue qui vont permettre à la plante de mieux réagir à ces stress abiotiques. Et c'est vraiment tout là le concept de Filgreen.
Using modern techniques inspired by traditional agriculture, this is the ambition of Trade Corp, a project born on the Irish coast which announces a new generation of crop nutrition.
Okay, so these are 2 of the products that we are developing in bananas and pineapple. We still have some products like we will be developing a soil ameliorant. Its brand name is Simbex. It is a product of AgroPay from the US. And another product, they call it NEB. It is root exudates or plant exudates that when combined with fertilizers and or uh, drenched in the soil, it improves the soil and it improves the microorganisms in the soil to make the nutrients available for the plants. So these are the types of products that we are trying to develop in our research experiment station, 2 hectares that we have. There's also a video for the NEB, but it will take quite quite long. So anyway, it's in the internet. You can also check their website just to show you that the company. This is NEB, the company that sells this product, which is a root exudates. As of now, I think they are uh, exclusively distributed by another company. We used to develop this in bananas and pineapple. So probably we need to negotiate first with the supplier. But this is also very interesting because the way they develop this product, they combine a lot of root exudates, which according to the scientists, the root exudates when it is present in the soil, it triggers the microorganism activities and make the soil nutrients available to the plants. And then the roots will can easily harvest the nutrients after the activity with the NEB and the microorganism in the soil. So that's my our our products that we are developing, and as a company, we don't invent products for ourselves. We develop the inventions of scientists in the university or in some other companies. And what we do is to check the need and the requirements of the farms that we are catering and introduce to them, develop with them, with the research departments of all our customers. These products, we do some trials and experiments with them, and as soon as they are convinced, then we do the commercial aspect on uh, these inventions. A question a while ago about how do we see the value or the importance of an invention. Of course, the inventor should not look at the economics first. Ideally, the inventors they are scientists. They always think of something new that will be useful. As to the economic side, the usefulness of the invention, it will later on, it will be developed when we evaluate the cost and benefit ratio, as I answered in the question and answer. Because sometimes some products are really very expensive to produce, but if we use it and we solve some issues and problems, then the value will be very small compared to the benefit that it can provide. To the inventors, of course, according to Dr. Kahun, that they also look at the economics of their invention because it is really difficult to invent. Like for several thousands of testings, you can be successful with just one. Then therefore, that is a very expensive uh, way of developing inventions. That's the reason why patents are given for 17 years so that the inventors will be protected and they can recoup the investment on developing products. On our side, soon as the product shows very good uh, results that could give benefits to our customer, then we carry the product and start the product development, and then later on do the commercialization, do the registration with fertilizer and pesticide authority before selling it commercially. So that's my presentation of our role in the biologics. Back to you, host.
Okay, so sir, thank you for that very educational and enlightening talk on the challenges, trends, and capabilities of biologics and soil amendments in the country, Mr. Lacerna. And thank you as well for sharing a brief background and the role of your company, Philippine Farm Fix Solutions. Here's for our Q&A portion. Um, okay, there. So it's already in your screens. So you may type in your questions in the chat box or comments section of the live stream. Questions asked in the live stream will be read by, of course, yours truly. And you can also use the wave function so that I can call on you, so that you can ask your question right away. Okay. So let us now proceed with our Q&A. Okay. So Mr. Lacerna, I think this is a question for you. Is FarmFix open to licensing agreements with universities? Do you have any prior experience towards this?
As of now, we don't have any experience licensing with the university, but in the past I explored. That's the reason why I knew some people in UPLB in this segment, because we were actually exploring some new inventions, especially for our uh, inventors in UPLB. We want also to support in developing their inventions. So we are in talks with people like Dr. Glenn, and also with my brother Rodel Anunciado on some products that UPLB is trying to develop. Our role will be if you will be introducing it specifically to the two crops, banana and pineapple, because we've been operating in this part of the agriculture, and we've been collaborating with the researchers and the scientists in these two crops. We can be of help. On the registration of the product, we also have a very long experience registering the product, except if the product will be registered as organic, because it will pass through BOPs, which is more difficult in terms of registering a product, especially in getting a certification that it is organic. That takes a longer route. So normally we register products, even if it's organic, without claiming that it is organic legally, but explaining to the plantation that it is organic. We register it through FTA, which is a faster, and they are more organized in doing registration process.
Okay, so thank you so much for answering that question, Sir Lacerna. So we have here a question from Mr. Philip Ong. So how does FarmFix address the needs of non-plantation farms with diverse plants?
As of now, we are, of course, we have some limitations. We are not into studies of all the crops. We are focused more on some specific crops with the commercial values. The first will be, of course, banana, the biggest fruit export, pineapple, second biggest, and we're doing studies on mango because that's the third fruit export for Philippines. We also do studies for rice, being our biggest crop in the country, and some studies on vegetable. We are also actively doing some studies in Benguet. We have a guy uh, stationed in Benguet, so we do studies also on vegetables, some specific vegetable.
Mhm.
Uh, if you need our help, not commercializing, but just recommending some good values or good approach, we are open so far as we have a technical team also, but again, it's better to ask help from the more knowledgeable like the university. Even us, we also approach the university, and we seek consultancy in some of experts in the university.
Mhm. Okay, so there you go. Thank you so much, sir, for answering that question. So we have another question from our participant. How involved are the communities in the product development process? Do you employ extension specialists in this part of community intervention? I think this is, sir, projected towards your company.
Mhm.
Uh, mhm.
On the involve on how we involve the community, since we are working closely with the two crops, banana and pineapple, they have their own research departments where we do all this product development and trials, because everything has to be done scientifically before we get a recommendation. And soon, if their research agrees that the product is suitable for their operation, then they will recommend us. And the operations people, if they want the product recommended by the research, then they ask the purchasing to buy from us. So it's not the entire community, but some part of that specific community, which is the plantation. When we do trials like for mango, we also do it first with our own trees. We conduct on our specific own trees, and then later on, what we do is that we demonstrate it to some influencers or people who can understand the technology and show it, because in developing it commercially, the farmers will always want to see it first. To see is to believe, their principle. So we have to conduct a lot of demo trials and communicate with specific uh, cooperators who are who could be influencers at the same time, who are at least tech, technology innovator or accepts innovations.
Mhm. Okay, sir. So again, thank you for answering that question. So we have your question from Mr. Raymond Pinion. Who are your major competitors in your market segments? What differentiates you from other competitors?
Uh, there are a lot of competitors in this industry. Actually, the real companies who are engaged in this, the bigger ones like Bayer, Syngenta, BASF, uh, uh, some big FMC. These are the big multinational companies. Then we have the local companies, Leeds. Some of the multinational includes Jardine, And then the local companies would be planters, leads, agway, and a lot of small players. We are in the small players local, and we unfortunately some of the companies in this industry, they only focus on commercialize products only. So they carry generics, and they carry products which doesn't need any product development anymore. On our side, we are more engaged into developing some products, developing new innovative products. So only the big multinational companies and the big local companies are doing things like what we are doing. For example, Bayer, Syngenta, and the rest of multinationals, all of them, they have their own research experiment stations as well. Then the big local companies like Leeds and Agway, they also have, and they are interested on new breakthroughs, new innovation, and then as soon as they learn about the products, the features and benefits that the product can give, then they do the product development. In the plantations, product development is done in a process, step by step. We start with preliminary trial of our product in the laboratory. They will check if it's applicable, compatible with what they're using, and all the chemical physiochemical studies, and then phytotoxicity study if it will affect their plants. And then they do the petri dish, and from the petri dish they elevate it to single leaf, to single plant, and to small plot with the statistics, and to semi-commercial. So the process is long, and it takes sometimes 6 months. For the quickest will be 6 months, and 2 years for fertilizers. So it's a long process before it goes into commercial stage in bananas and pineapple plantations. In other crops, it is quicker because the farmers can easily accept, and they don't need statistics, neither some analysis of scientific nature. Then what they just need is to see if it is helping them in their problem, either controlling the pest or increasing their yield. So that's the difference between the main market that we are dealing with, and the smaller market or the smaller farmers.
Mhm. Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for that answer. Okay, so we have another question. As an inventor or researcher, what information do you or the private sector look for when acquiring technologies from the academe?
Well, we analyze the product gap analysis. We do the product gap analysis in our customer, meaning as I introduced the farm picks when I coined to make the name of the company, Philippine Farm Pick Solutions Incorporated, meaning we want to incorporate solutions to fix the farms of our customers in the Philippines. So if you reverse our name, it says that our company is looking for solutions to the problems of our customers. So if there's no problem, I think we cannot invent anything, because the mother of all uh, invention is, I think, problem is the mother of invention. Parang gano'n ang kasabihan. So kung walang problema, hindi walang mag-iimbento. No? Nobody will invent anything if there is no problem to solve. So we start by knowing what our customers would be needing. So the customers will always need to increase their yield. No? reduce the pest, because we cannot eliminate, no? We cannot totally eliminate the pest. Can only reduce. Uh, of course, optimize the yield. We cannot maximize, only optimize. And then now the trends, as I showed to you, the trends that the market is requiring. One is to reduce the use of pesticide, which which is the one that we are selling supposedly. So there's a shift. Now we're looking at possibilities of something or some products that can be used without the necessity of them uh, relying too much on pest control or crop protection. So we are on that trend. That's the one we're looking for. Anything that will help in the well-being of the plant, that it can withstand the stresses, biotic and abiotic, is something that is needed in today's agriculture. And as to the proper application of the technology, because timing is also important, we need all those information. So the products that is ideal in the current market is something less toxic, something more sustainable for the farmers, something which is not too expensive, or which, even if it's expensive, it can provide better profit. So that are the products that we are searching for.
Mhm. Okay, sir. Um, we have here a question, sir, from Ma'am Nina Cadiz. So, what other innovations or inventions are in store from your company that we should be looking forward to po?
One is we are studying, because the biggest threat now in bananas, aside from sigatoka, is fusarium. Everybody's into the bandwagon on introducing the magic potion that can cure the fusarium. Just like we are having this COVID virus, everybody's also aware about how it affects lives, and people are waiting for some breakthrough to solve COVID. So in bananas, people are waiting for a solution to fusarium. That's what we are studying in our own experiment station, because there are a lot of considerations, and there are a lot of already some products introduced that works but doesn't is not sustainable. So we're on the study of that, and I think hopefully by end of this year we might arrive to something. And then we are also studying on a product. It's an old product. It's already commercialized long time ago, but the inventor is 88 years old, American. He's partly retired. He's already back to the US, and we want to revive that product. That product is a soil enhancer, improver, or ameliorant, and that improves the availability of the nutrients, or the elements that are needed by the plants. So we don't need to put so much fertilizers. And then we are also developing this amino acid anti-stress, but there are a lot also of amino acids being introduced in the market, so it's not very innovative. Uh, the the different seaweeds, they are contributory to also to the plant health. Some of the phytohormones are into the seaweed extract, and also they mix it with some elements, micro elements, to improve the efficacy. So far, it's more on the Fusarium project that we are looking at, and on the soil ameliorant. We are still searching for new, innovative, and breakthrough products. So that's why we are very open in communicating with our friends in the UPLB. We are working with Sir uh, Rodel, and they have introduced to us some few candidates. Back to you.
Okay, sir. Again, thank you for that answer. Sir, I think we can only entertain two more questions. So would that be okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir. So the first question is from Miss Lichel. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Lichel Dara Carlos. So, do you have a proactive system or program to call on inventors and technology developers to introduce solutions for specific challenges that you can market for your clients? So,
Well, the word proactive is well, of course, it says that in advance we are already making actions. As of now, the most proactive way that we can do is to join activities like this so that we can throw to some innovative minds that there is a market out here in the bananas and pineapple that needs some of this innovation. And if ever, because some of us or some of you in the academe, you have so many brilliant ideas. You have, as my former professor told us before, we have pregnant ideas, according to Professor Chongson in the CEM. If our technical people in the academy could probably know that the needs in the commercial world, like where they have funds, are these products, then that's a proactive way of doing things. We are promoting, for example, that scientists should look at the potentials of solutions to banana and pineapple because they are one of our biggest export. A lot of people are already into rice. We have the Erie, we have the entire UPLB and other universities, all focus on rice. I think there's a big gap and a big still a lot of innovations that can be done to improve our bananas and our pineapple. If if that could be a proactive call to the inventors. Then also we are on our small ways. We are also doing uh, engaging on uh, precision agriculture. The new guys, the younger people, you are more adept to that technology. I think the collaboration between the computer science and UPLB, agricultural engineering, and horticulture and agriculture combined could probably improve the way we do the precision agriculture. And again, that's a very good thing to invent.
mhm. Okay, sir. So I think we are down to our last question. So we'll be getting this from our FB Live. So this is from Mr. Giancarlo Espiritu. What if the solution to the problem that has been developed entails a negative effect on sustainability? Will your company still endorse it for utilization of the farmers in order to solve the problem on a short-term basis? Or will the company still put it under further research but will take a longer time?
Again, as I mentioned, all big companies nowadays, and even our big universities, we always look at the sustainability. We have damaged too much our environment, and we are already harvesting all these wrong technologies that has been done in the past. Nowadays, invention should be towards more sustainable agriculture, meaning we don't have we don't have to solve problems on a temporary basis. We always look at a longer basis because the temporary basis solutions has been invented and has been introduced already by our predecessors, and that's what we are facing now. We are harvesting it. Now the direction is always on sustainability. Um, our our goal is being a responsible company is to contribute in the sustainability and in the longer term. In fact, if I may also, well, not bragging, but I have a farm, small farm, and even in my farm, I plant trees which I probably might not see when it gives benefit to whoever. Say we plant Nara and other forest trees without thinking of harvesting anything from them. So I think that the direction will always be if our scientists will think of not the immediate rewards, but a towards a contribution to a better world, better science, and better future. That would be much better for us to develop and to support as a company.
Okay, sir. Wise words indeed. So that's it for our question and answer. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Lacerna, for answering the questions of our participants. And we truly appreciate your time and effort for attending this webinar. Again, thank you. Thank you very much,
Right.
Sir Joel. Okay, so thank you very much for everyone's participation in the Q&A portion of our program. So for other questions that you may have, I mean, our participants, we'll flash the details later on of who to contact. Okay, so we, for our participants, we will send you a feedback form that you need to answer. It will be via email, which will help us generate your certificates of participation. Okay, so I would also like to invite everyone on Friday, April 23, for the technology transfer day 2. Okay, so for the email, kindly send your queries to ctte.uplb@up.edu.ph. Okay, so before we officially end our program for this morning, let us all welcome our project leader, Mr. Glenn N. Baticados, for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Arnel. Invited speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the UPLB SEARCA 2021 Technology Transfer Day. You know, the Technology Transfer Day is one of the key deliverables of the project on UPLB Intellectual Properties and Technology Commercialization funded by DOST Picard. And this is with a view to explore possible initiatives for promoting technology transfer and the dissemination and facilitation of access to technology for industry licensing and agri-development, particularly for the benefit of the agri-industry and the agri-communities as a whole. As Professor Cahun mentioned earlier, technology transfer refers to the broadly series of processes enabling and facilitating the flows of skills, knowledge, ideas, know-how, and technology among different stakeholders, such as university and research institutions, international organizations, IGOs, NGOs, private sector entities, and individuals, as well as international technology transfer among countries. That definition does cover both the national technology transfer, that is the transfer of skill, knowledge, ideas, know-how, and technology among different stakeholders within a country, as well as international technology transfer that is across borders and among countries. Now, to further recap some learning from the two speakers, Dr. Cahun talk gave us very practical insights and tips on the factors affecting the success of university tech transfer. Partnership and openness is vital in this endeavor. Mr. Lacerna, on the other hand, shared their company products and acquired technologies from other countries to offer alternative sustainable solutions for the banana and the pineapple industries. He also noted the importance of working with inventors from the university and the direction on innovative products towards agri-sustainability. With this, we are done with the first event of the day. The second part this afternoon will focus on the pitching of agri-technologies from UPLB for possible industry collaboration and licensing for farmers' adoption. Again, thank you for actively participating and looking forward to seeing you this afternoon. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so thank you so much for that inspiring message, Sir Glenn. So that sums up our event for this morning. I hope everyone learned a lot from this webinar, and I hope everyone had a great time as well. I personally had a great time. Like, swear, I learned a lot from this morning. So if ever you have any more questions or inquiries after this webinar, feel free to contact us at ctte.uplb@up.edu.ph if you have any more questions or concerns. Again, this event would not be possible without the support of the following institutions: UPLB, TTBDO, SEARCA, and PICARD. Thank you very much to our guests and participants who attended this morning's event. This has been your host, Neil, signing off. Take care, everyone, and see you later at 1 p.m. for Cappy Hunt 2021.